Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are here today to speak about impact investing and social responsibility. These are two areas of the venture community that we've seen a lot of focus on here in 2020 and expect to see this as a growing trend and something we all personally want to be investing in over the next decade. But what does this mean? Where are the areas of opportunity? What should you be paying attention to? What is happening in these areas? Well, we brought the best and the brightest from around the world to share with you their thoughts and insights and on the ground perspective around that, and also share with you some ideas and some things that they're seeing as well in the industry to get you ready as investors or founders looking to invest and build in these two areas. But first, before we begin, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. If you're liking what you hear today, make sure you click subscribe and do tune in all day, every day to all episodes of VCTV as we again bring the best and the brightest to share with you their thoughts and insights around technologies, industries, and regions around the world to keep you up to date, and also to make sure that you get the chance to meet these great individuals that are doing such wonderful things around the world. And entrepreneurs, there's also a chance for you to join us on the virtual stage we have here at VCTV to pitch each and every one of us live here on VCTV, get real-time feedback on your product, service, or company, along with building relationships with each of us and exposure to the entire VCTV community worldwide. Reach out to the team and or myself, and we'd love to find the right spot for you. Speaking of that team, a big thank you to the LA Token team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go in and introduce each and every one of our investors today. First and foremost, happy holidays, Keith. You're dressed to the occasion. Welcome back to the show. A little intro and a little background.
Hey, thanks, Kyle. Happy holidays, everybody. Maybe my last chance to wear my Santa sweater for 2020. Good thing too. Yeah, it's great to be here. Maybe my last appearance for the year was great. I've been a VC in clean tech and impact in general for 20 years. Originally on the corporate side with Mitsubishi Corporation, and then as president of BASF Venture Capital America, BASF being the world's largest chemical company. Then a decade as general partner of Pangea Ventures that took us into this year. But this year I saw another opportunity to make an impact on what's called the lower middle market, some of the playbook from venture capital, applying it into hands-on management and pivoting these companies in the sort of $5 to $25 million in revenue and taking them out to their appropriate international markets. And that's called Upper Stage Ventures. I'm also chairman of the Foresight Clean Tech Accelerator Center and making big impact there. And I'm also going to talk about my role on the board of directors of Kila.
Wonderful. Well, welcome back, Keith. It's a pleasure. Excited to dive into some of those areas with you. And then Wendy, welcome back. It's such a pleasure. You have so much to talk about in this area with all the efforts that you have, but I'm not going to take your spotlight. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more.
Thank you so much for having me again. Yep, I am a limited partner in 3 funds that are focused on blockchain, but I bring the impact companies to the teams. I'm also, invested heavily in impact, whether it's in ag tech, energy. I basically fund seed companies in that space. I have a foundation in 144 countries called Women's Entrepreneurship Day Organization, which is officially proclaimed by the US Congress and Governor Cuomo and around the world on November 19th as an official day where we bring governments, business leaders, civil society together to collaborate to find solutions to uplift women in business, which is making a huge impact in the world, as we know that women founders are only receiving 2% of venture dollars for their companies. So we're trying to change that figure and increase it. And I would love to speak about some of the initiatives that I have right now with the United Nations Environmental Program and the investments they're making in the Caribbean and South Asia. Thank you.
Wonderful, Wendy. No, thank you. I mean, some of these things that you've put together and that you continue to focus on and share with us here at VCTV are absolutely phenomenal. And hopefully our audience will get a chance to hear more about them. So thank you for all those efforts that you do every day. And last but not least, the grandmaster of artificial intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, the one who brings us gifts upon gifts upon gifts from the AI community, Gary Fowler.
It must be Christmas, Kyle. It must be. Oh, it's after Christmas. It's coming to the new year. So
there you go. There you
we
go.
got to have Christmas in Russia. You know, it's Novum Godum. So it's great. Hey, listen, I really appreciate it. And my name's Gary Fowler, serial entrepreneur investor. I've done 16 companies. I've written now 107 articles on AI and entrepreneurship in the last year. I thought I would do 100. I didn't even think I'd do 100 at the beginning of the year, but anyhow, really excited about it. We believe that AI is a new electricity. And in terms of impact investing, Kyle, so we're supporting a fund, building a fund in Atlanta, $100 million fund to support the Black urban community. In addition, one of the things we do at GSD, of which I'm the CEO and co-founder of, is that we go out to places all around the world, all parts of Africa, and to be able to support the entrepreneurial environment there. One of the challenges today, especially with COVID, is how do I go global? So if I'm in Cape Town or I'm in anywhere, right? I'm in Jakarta, how can I actually go global? And we're really focused on those kind of environments. I've been doing that. I started the first accelerator in Russia, I guess about 10 years ago, something like that. So we're trying to bring some, peace and prosperity around the world by connecting the dots. And GSD's at the forefront of doing that, focused on artificial intelligence.
Wonderful. Well, welcome, Gary, Keith, Wendy. It's a pleasure to have each of you. And I know you have all a lot to talk about. And so before we get into those individual projects, I just kind of want to open the stage and hear from each of you what your current view of impact and social investing is right now. Today, I just got an email from PitchBook calling 2020 now a banner year for venture capital. And we've all had conversations about this. We started off the year strong, had a very weak and kind of shaky middle ground to the year of Q2, Q3. Coming into Q4, it's been an explosion in terms of venture capital. And it looks like that's going to be a continuing trend into 2021. But with that being said, to each of you, we'd love to hear your thoughts around impact investing as it stands today. And then I want to dive into each of these projects. So Keith, let's kick it off with you.
Well, I think 2020 is the year where impact investing really went mainstream investing, where we are seeing more and more interest from people, and not just from a philanthropic perspective, but they're seeing that this can be a lens through which they can identify really good financial opportunities. If you are tapping into the meta trends, which support making life better for people and for our environment, there is an opportunity to make money from that and not just get the warm fuzzies. As that information has sort of made it out into the LP base, and we're seeing more money come into this space, more managers are being attracted to it as well. I think 2020 has been an inflection point for impact investing.
Couldn't agree more. And Wendy, to you, same point, and anything to add on?
100%. I think Bitcoin and the crypto market is finally here. I think it's going to be it's the greatest financial instrument ever created to bring economic empowerment to everyone in this world. I feel that this is a big, year for this, where you have some of the biggest players in the world that have come in, everyone from the 160-year-old Mass Mutual investing in it, creating this as an asset class, securing that. So enabling countries like Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and Botswana, as well as Nigeria, to have this as an asset to use as a currency. And, taking the government and bank control of money and empowering the people to have peer-to-peer transactions. And I think that what we're going to see, whether it's in finance, whether that's in health, whether that's in, energy, ag tech, especially supply chain, which I'm very heavily invested in, I think this is going to be the biggest impact. And you see it now. And I see 2021 as the greatest year ever. And as you see an impact, especially with the millennials, 90% of them are saying, they believe in a cause. So I feel like, we've got a really better future ahead of us for impact investing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. Gary, to you, same question. Anything else to add?
Well, I mean, it's just so we started out the beginning of this year, I almost said last year, Kyle. Can you believe that?
It's crazy.
And we talk about, God, it's unbelievable how fast it's going by. But we started out the beginning of this year, and as we came into the pandemic, we understood that we will reach people all over the world. And so having the technologies now, I'm not saying we're all there yet, but having the Zoom, having Bitcoin, having the capability to be able to reach people and let them participate is an incredible thing that's happened and transpired. So that digital transformation that McKinsey talked about taking 5 to 10 years really happened in a matter of months. Does it take care of everything? No. Does it level the playing field and democratize opportunities a bit? A lot more than it did before. So, I'm excited about it. What we have to do is we look for, a few years ago, I guess 8 years ago, half the students in my startup academy were female. We purposely would give them scholarships, et cetera. And quite frankly, they were some of the best students that's created companies. So, it's about getting in there. What we talk about is not about entitlement, but how to give opportunities, how to be able to, basically nurture opportunities. And that's really where we are with GSD and using AI. So imagine being able to create a company and putting it in a place like Atlanta or Chicago, and then bringing some resources in and in a fellowship program to help them understand how to be able to grow a company and planting those seeds. And when I started in Russia doing that, there really wasn't an accelerator. And it really, and one person can make a difference. So my partner and I jumped into this, the two of us actually jumped into this, and we made a dent in the universe. I think we can do the same thing on a global basis now. We're doing it, right? I see it. Here we are in VCTV. I mean, you're living proof that it works. You got what, up to 15,000 people now watching every show? That's getting the message out. I see the responses. You're getting the message. You're teaching people. You're letting them understand there's hope and an opportunity, and they can do the same thing.
Absolutely. And thank you, Gary. And we're appreciative of everybody because we're all doing this. It's not just us here at VCTV, it's all of us. So thank you very much as well. And Wendy, I want to come to you next. You talked about the UN environmental program that you're a part of and supporting and working with in the Caribbean. Tell us a little bit more about this and kind of how this all plays into the role of impact investing and social responsibility.
Well, so you think, you see the future now, everybody, it's about collaboration. It's not about competition anymore. It's about how do we work together, right? And so two initiatives that I'm very heavily involved with is in ag tech and helping farmers. And so what we are doing is bringing traceability, transparency, as well as storytelling, because as we've seen the figures about millennials, they want to know when they go to a store, they want to know where did that come from? Like, where can I track this? Or who is the farmer that that created this mango for me? And so what we've done is we partnered with the United Nations Environmental Program. We partner, and we're doing a huge collaboration now with all the Caribbean countries and the governments. And what we are doing is creating ways for these farmers there to have profitable harvests, because these are a little bit complicated lands, right? And really bringing what we created in India with a pilot program that we're working with the government with 6 million farmers in the state of Andhra Pradesh, where they stopped using fertilizers and pesticides. And they had a high suicide rate that now went down because they went back to their old ancient Indian practices of manure, sugarcane, and urine to fertilize the land. So now this is actually organic. The whole communities are more positive, healthier, as well as the fact that they're earning more money per harvest. And now with our technology of a company that I'm heavily invested in, I'm also the chief impact officer on that. I bring all the governments and the United Nations and the biggest Fortune 100 companies to the project. So we're also partners with IBM and Walmart and Carrefour, and bringing this technology to enable these farmers to show the actual traceability from where this food is coming from. And so when you go into Walmart in the future, you're going to be able to scan that barcode and see the farmer that has 1 hectare of land that used to receive $1 is now going to be receiving more profit for her harvest or his harvest. And this is really 80% of the farmers, for instance, in the program in India are women. And so this is a partnership, and a huge partnership, and with a program called ZBNF and the United Nations Environmental Program, Sustainable India Finance. And then I brought our company Producers Market to this program to bring in that aspect to enable the traceability, transparency, and storytelling. So looking at the model in India, they are now bringing that to the Caribbean, and that will also go out to Indonesia next. So these are real solid projects showing the impact that we're having on these communities, because now these, farmers are earning more money. People are now going to be able to, scan the barcode and follow them on Instagram and be able to help, support if they want to give them $1 just for doing it or whatever they want to do. They're going to be able to do this through this technology. So I think, how can I not get excited, and how can I not be more, bringing more people to this initiative and to, invest in companies like this with true, integrity to support farmers. And also 20% of Producers Market's company is dedicated to the farmers. So they are going to be giving equity to those actual farmers. So, I think that when investing, especially with my family, office, I really look at the founders, and I really look at the impact and why did they create that company, right? What is their background? What is their history? Right? Because I think, when looking at investments, especially if I do seed investments, I think, when I look at things, I really am looking at the founders, and I'm really looking at what is their background, what were they doing prior to creating this company? So I can really see the fact that there is a real, integrity behind what they're doing. So, my whole, philosophy on the world today is people are truly profiting from impact investing, right? You see it in all the figures. And that if we can really focus on impact investing truly, right? I think this world is certainly, a little like Gary was saying, it's going to be exponentially a greater place to be.
Absolutely. As an investor, how did you find this opportunity as well? Is this something that you were presented with? Is this something that you were searching out? Kind of how did this come about into your investment?
Do you want the truth, or do you want
the Oh, well,
okay. So I'll tell you. I'm all about, I believe life, we accept everything, and wherever we are is a positive, et cetera. And I've been heavily invested in the digital currency space and Bitcoin since 2016. So, during those years and stuff like that, I was always going to a lot of the events and things like that. And I was at a corporate event. I think it's 2017 at the beginning. It's kind of funny. And it was all these suits, and all these people in suits. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I really feel like doing this again, because I've been at so many different events. And it was, during one of those weeks of stuff. And I saw these two kind of straggly looking guys at the food table. And they were not in suits, and they had these beards and all this kind of stuff. And we were at the food table 3 hours later. We were one of the people was the CTO of Burt's Bees. And so and the other person created the first agro farm at the University of Minnesota. And I was just was so into the whole thing, because I'm, a vegetarian my whole life. And just the chemistry and just of what they were doing and what they were creating, I just really fell for what they were building. And that is how I decided to invest in that company and really get involved.
I love it. See, it's a great story. Now, those that are listening can understand as well. And
I think people have to realize is that, it's all about your network. I didn't know this, when I was younger or something like that, but it's really about, and living what you believe in. And I believe in blockchain. I believe in digital currency, and I believe in impact. And so by being in those worlds, you're going to be introduced to a lot of people that have that same mission.
Absolutely. And thank you, Wendy. Keith, to you, anything to add on to Wendy's story as well, but also for you? You have a few companies you wanted to talk about. You've been in this space in many different forms, from the corporate side all the way through to you now in the new project that you have. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing and kind of these initiatives that you're working on.
Sure. But first, Wendy, what a great year you've had. so many great things going on there. Fantastic. And you know, a lot of those things resonate with me, right? Food supply chain, Upper Stage Ventures, we are focused on supply chain. One of my Pangea portfolio companies is Hazel Technologies out of Chicago that extends shelf life by using safe for human consumption only those compounds to create slow release media that keeps produce fresh, keeps meats fresh, it can extend by 2 or even 4 times the shelf life of product and not have a residue that you need to wash off. Wonderful stuff, and so easy to implement. And that's the kind of thing I'm really excited about, stuff that is not force the supply chain to make any or any substantial modifications to the way that they operate, and don't force people to install new capex, but have something that are, in the case of Hazel, literally a drop-in solution. You just drop a little sachet into the same box you always pack the produce in, and it's protected. I love that stuff. But the other theme there is on, and I think that there is still a lot of work that can be done here to take impact up to its potential. And one of the companies that I've personally invested in, and I sit on the board of directors on, is called Keela, Keela. Keela was founded by a guy who came out of the Obama administration, was working with charities and saw the same complaints from charities over and over again. You know, all these CRM solutions, they're geared for big enterprise or maybe small enterprise, but they're not geared for charities. We can't raise our money through them. It's not auditable. It doesn't have the basic functions that we need. And so he hired a team of developers in Nepal, of all places, and produced version 1 of Keela. We're now on version 2. We're doing really well. There's been good growth through 2020, providing CRM solutions to charities and nonprofits with the specific needs of those industries, and the impact that those customers are having now through their increased ability to raise money through the more transparent delivery of value to their donors. Their donors are getting what they want out of these relationships. This is wonderful. I'm very excited to see that, and I'm challenging the company now. Can you actually quantify the total impact that you are supporting? The software itself, right? That it itself, it's hard to say what impact it has, but it can support enormous impact that is out there. And I'm all about quantification of impact, whether it be creation of jobs, whether it be more social impact, or of course, the big thing I've spent my life on is decarbonization or creation of food.
Wow. And again, similar question to Wendy. I mean, how did you get into this? So on the decarbonization of food, I mean, what made you want to get in? How did you kind of fall into that as an investor? I mean, as a founder, it's one story. As an investor, it's slightly different. And so how did you get into that from your side?
Well, I really did fall into it. I spent the 90s as an entrepreneur in software and media. And when I was hired by Mitsubishi Corporation, that was the intent. But after the dot-com collapse, they said, oh, yeah, those areas aren't performing very well. Where are you? You're in Vancouver. Oh, yeah, there's all that fuel cell and battery research going on there. Why don't you do that? And so I suddenly had to learn about clean tech. And then that got furthered when I moved into my position as president of BASF Venture Capital America and set up their Silicon Valley office. I suddenly found myself on the board of directors of a nutrition company and an ag bio company, and I had to learn so much. But I got very excited about the about the urgent market need in those spaces and the ability of the technology provider to capture value. One of the things that clean tech has really suffered from historically is that its business models typically are equipment sales or supply of commodities, like in biofuels, for example. And in both of those cases, you're trapped at the beginning of the value chain. You cannot capture further value. Whereas in ag, for example, the technology providers under the big players there, the BASF and Monsanto, et cetera, we've seen well established that the technology provider can take a quarter of the value that is generated, and the growers are happy to pay it, or they may grow, but they will still continue. And I saw here, wow, there's an opportunity to actually capture the value and not just sell things as a commodity. And that the business model lens is a big way that I view my my investment decisions now. No more commodity supply. It has to be something that is a partnership with the customers.
Well, thank you. And Gary, thank you, Keith. Gary, to you, I mean, speaking of partnership, you've partnered with someone and a few people actually to put together this huge venture fund focused on impact investing and the underserved as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you got into this area and what you're looking to do with this new fund?
Yeah, so I mean, the whole idea was about 13 years ago. I met a black actor, good friend of mine. He's a rapper on a plane. He had a big diamond watch. I'll never forget it. And I said, it was so bright I couldn't see it. It was on the plane. I said, man, that is like having the sun next to me. And he started laughing and we became good friends. So I've been working on this for a long time, 12, 13 years. And, you know, my idea was, why aren't there more Black executives of technology companies? And, you know, we came back to the point that it's not really something in the urban community. It's not, you know, it's not basketball, it's not football, it's not really focused on. So why not focus on it? So what we did is we ended up going to the some of his friends who got one of the board members of the NAACP, Lamel McMorris, and also the former mayor of Atlanta engaged in this. And the whole idea is to make an impact. And how do you do it? So part of it is, you know, we're doing a fellowship.
Oh, so sorry about that. We just have a little extra voice. Yeah,
I thought
we've
it
got
was
another
you for a
panelist. No, it's okay. We got another panelist. Maria jumped on just to say hi to everybody and happy holidays. And sorry about that, Gary. But
hey, no, I was trying to understanding the rush. I thought, Kyle, I'm looking at the lips. I felt like an old movie.
No worries.
Movies there for a second. Anyhow, so what we did is we went after and we said, how can we make a dent in the universe on that side of it? So that was my own passion and idea, and it's working. The other side of it is I've been involved in this whole impact thing for some time. I looked at it originally working with chemical batteries, lanthanum fluoride, many years ago. We did a project with the ISTC, you know, former scientists, weapons scientists, taking their technologies and turn them, commercialize them to doing good, working for the US, Russia, European, part of the EU, South Korea, Japan, and Canada. And so that's how I started to understand that you can have the nastiest stuff, but you can turn it into really good ideas and to be able to benefit humanity. And I think, you know, now we've seen through this pandemic with all the challenges, you know, as we've said before, the Himalayas for the first time in 30 years, because there's not as much traffic in India, that we can have a bit of an impact. And so from my standpoint, I curate, if I see companies that have, let's say they're into sustainability. I just found one down in South America, and that company uses organic material to be able to absorb oil and then to be able to squeeze it out. So if there's an oil spill, I love that kind of stuff. And so at the top of my list is that. And what we want to do is we want to bring those technologies to points where they can become a unicorn, that they can get the kind of funding, because it's hard for them, because from our standpoint, many times they're in places, you know, like in Nepal, like a Jakarta, where they don't have access to the capital and they don't have access to the network. So what we want to do is speed that up and use our network to be able to help them. So I'm looking at it, the impact side, as I said, in the Black community. I did it with female entrepreneurs in Russia. They were underserved. It's just to make a dent in the universe. And the one thing you have to do is you have to, from my perspective, to make sure it's not only an investment on the impact, but it's also, it affects the bottom line. Somebody, investors will invest if they can see, one, is it's an impact, but two, can they make money? Is it an interesting investment opportunity, right? Not just philanthropic.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things that's common amongst all three of you is that impact, and I think we've covered this many times here on VCTV, impact and social responsibility and those types of investments are very personalized, right? In most cases, there's something you see a value or opportunity or means something to you. But for each of you, we'd love to look at the areas of opportunity. If someone's looking to build, someone's looking to invest, not sure where or what's missing and what's needed when it comes to impact investing or impact driven companies as well, as we look towards the next year here, coming up in just a few days. So Keith, let's start with you. What are the areas of opportunity? What's missing around impact investing and needed that people can start investing or building in for the coming years?
Sure. Well, I mentioned there that lens of business model is a big way that I am looking at opportunities right now. And I think it's something that has been ignored, or let's say that less optimal business models have been tolerated by investors for a long time because they just, in some cases, didn't see a better way to do it. In the case of software, of course, we have SaaS companies are well established. That business model is mainstream. But outside of that, it's been difficult. And in some cases, this has resulted in not so great performance. So we've seen, like, when I did a comparison of clean tech and impact companies that use a service business model versus just one-time sales or commodity supply business models, the IRR difference is a factor of 5 times, right? You're seeing like 2% IRR versus 10% IRR. Still not great, but that's pooled across thousands of investments over 20 years. So there's still a lot of winners in there, but a huge difference in the median IRR pooled performance. It gets even worse when you get into like equipment installation and things like that, where we saw over 20 years a negative 10% IRR for those types of opportunities. Focusing on the business model and the ability to capture value, I think this is somewhere where there's still a lot of potential there. Surprisingly, as I researched this, there are very few people that have focused on this as a lens for ways to make money in impact and clean tech investing. I was surprised to not find any funds that were built around this as an investment thesis. So I have adopted it into a new investment thesis that I've developed for a fund that we are launching that is affiliated with the Foresight Clean Tech Accelerator.
Thank you, Keith. Wendy, to you, same question. Areas of opportunity, where are those picks and shovels, if you will, that are missing around impact and social responsibility investing?
Well, my background in the animal world, I would say, there's no better investment than in the pet world. I mean, over 90 million dogs in the United States, right? Mm-hmm. So when you think of that market, there's, as we know during this time, and especially during this pandemic, that, there's no greater gift than puppy love. And to have, a pet has been, all the statistics show it's the greatest for mental health, for physical health. It gets you out there to walk your dog, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe people right now, are, more than ever, are going to be spending more money on their pets. I believe people more than ever are going to be adopting. I believe more than ever, this market is going to grow, grow, grow. So I think this is a great area of investment. I also believe in that market of, looking for vegan options for, for pets as well. One of the companies that I'm currently getting into is is a vegan pet food company. Also looking at everything about that. I mean, I think that when we look at the world today, people want, simple things, right? And there's no better, simple, amazing relationship that gives you unconditional love, loyalty, and a bond, which we would hope we'd have with humans, which is somewhat impossible. But that we have with our dogs. So I think investing in the pet market is a very, very good option because it's going to make a huge impact on everything, on people's minds, health, and spirits. I also believe in just the options of more Beyond Meats in this world and Oatly's in this world. I think that is a huge market as well. As a lifelong vegetarian, I am seeing when you look at, I think it's 0.1% of the world is now vegan, and that is just going to increase exponentially as well. So I think looking at those two are very important. And I believe in blockchain. I believe in Bitcoin and helping the 2.5 billion unbanked. So any opportunities in that space with blockchain also will be a focus of ours as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. And Gary, to you, same question.
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, what we're doing is we're looking for the underserved to be able to make a little dent in the universe. So we're looking at throughout Africa at this point, all different locations in Africa, and we're really curating. I'm surprised, Kyle. I got to tell you that I've seen some of the best AI companies that I've ever seen. They just don't have a chance to get the market. So I'm really encouraged about that. I mean, what we want to do is help the underserved, help them create jobs and bring their communities up. And that's a direct impact that we can have and kind of guide them a bit. I like that. As I told you about the Black community, that's one of our initiatives, and female entrepreneurs, to encourage more female entrepreneurs to come forward and be able to help them get their technologies out. And again, it's, we're building a fund. The fund is really an impact fund across the board. Sustainability, when I come across interesting technologies, I found one down in South America, a company called Biosolvent, incredible technologies that basically, as I said, absorb oil using organic materials. So, and they're looking to be able to get their products out to the market. The key is finding them, and it's not easy because it's a needle in the haystack, because it's hard for them to find you and hard for you to find them. So again, that's one of the things with VCTV I really like, because we're reaching out to so many people that are actually getting the message and they're taking it to heart, and it's bringing them out of the woodwork. It's bringing them into the mainstream. So this is that, that article I wrote in the democratization of opportunity, Nikola Tesla's dream comes true. That's basically where we are today. And we want to be part of that initiative, put our own, as Jobs said, a little dent in the universe.
Absolutely. And thank you, Gary, Wendy, Keith, to each of you. I want to come to you for around closing thoughts and anything you want to put out there into the world around impact and sustainability, and again, social responsibility as well. I think this is a very important topic for us to know more about as individuals, both investors and founders. So any closing thoughts that each of you have, and then of course, where you can be found online for everyone to continue the conversations. This is very important to continue. Wendy, let's start with you. Closing thoughts that you may have, and then of course, where can everyone find you online?
I just would, think that we have to all support. There's, over 190 million people right now unemployed in the world, 72 million in the United States due to this pandemic. I think we need to create opportunities. I think we need to really figure out how to encompass everybody from a ground up approach to support these people. I believe in impact investing, and I also believe in profitability, because if they're not going to be profitable, you can't, the whole thing. And so I just feel like if we can just really bring awareness and have, more women founders as well, and create a better world for everybody by investing in this space, I think we definitely, as you'll see in the next year, we have true hope. So, and everybody can reach me at wendydiamond.com. That has all my social media, and it has my investments and my funds that I'm a limited partner in as well. And then womenseday.org. If you're a woman entrepreneur, you want to support a woman entrepreneur, we're in 144 countries ready to support women entrepreneurs. And we work with governments, business leaders, civil society. We collaborate them all, and we would love to work with everybody in that space. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you as well, Wendy. Keith, I saw you on mute. You already knew I was coming to you. So it's up to you. Closing thoughts, and then where can everyone find you online?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll just close out with something that I've probably said a half a dozen times in interviews here over 2020, and that is that things only have impact when they are real. That potential impact is not yet impact. It's what we have to chase. It's what we have to nurture. But I would stress that companies need to quantify. They need to measure and prove the impact that they are having or supporting. And some of these things can be very difficult to track. So I would emphasize that the companies should focus on what is actually manageable within the budget of a startup company for them to track. In the case of CO2, that's pretty easy. In the case of watts of energy that are generated, in the case of food that is grown or water that is saved, these things are pretty easy to measure, as well as gender impact, the stuff that Wendy was talking about. This is easy stuff, and this is the low-hanging fruit. It's not onerous on companies for them to generate, and then they can use this data to promote what they're doing and attract more investor interest, more acquirer interest, can lead them to better exits. So quantify your data. Don't just put out anecdotal pie in the sky targets, but actually measure it. You can make a real impact to this world. As for finding me, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Twitter at Keith A. Gillard, or my new company. It's a stealth website, but you can go and look if you want. It's upperstage.ventures.
It's a beautiful website with a beautiful logo. Everyone should check it out. But realistically, just reach out to Keith, as he mentioned as well. And definitely check out Wendy and her organization if you would like to connect with her as well. I recommend it highly. And last but not least, Gary Fowler. Closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you?
Yeah, no, it's great, Kyle. And over the last year, humanity's been humbled. We understand our vulnerabilities, and we need to seek kindness and compassion and to do the right thing. And impact investing is one way that we can do that. Wendy's right in terms of if you make it profitable and make it interesting for the investors, at the same time have an impact, it's critically important. And Keith is also right in terms of making it measurable, because you don't want to just have this pie in the sky and maybe this will make an impact, but show what the results are. But then again, that's all about business, right? So let's try to bring some kindness and compassion back to the world of investing. Let's look at how we can make a difference and help each other. You can reach me, Gary Fowler, Gary at GSDVS.com. You can get me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler, or Twitter. Love to hear from you, and let's go out and do the right thing and make it this world in 2021 a little bit kinder place.
Absolutely. Wendy, Keith, Gary, thank you all so much for your thoughts and insights. And to the audience, definitely reach out to all three of them to continue the conversation around their activities in the impact space, but in general, to connect with them and have conversations that may be within their realm and areas of expertise, as they each spoke about as well. And again, thank you all. Keith, love the outfit today. Hope to see it again one more time this year, if I'm lucky. If not, surprise us in January, just to give us a nice throwback as well. And to your audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Do reach out as well if you're interested in being on the show, like Keith, Gary, and Wendy. Also, be sure to check out us online and all of the archived episodes that we have, including those that the three speakers today have spoken on, and many others from the VCTV community. As Gary mentioned, it's a great place to learn, a great place to get insights, and also get that on-the-ground perspective of technologies, industries, and regions around the world and what's happening in this wild, crazy 2020 as we get ready to prepare for a very exciting 2021 and a decade ahead in front of us as well. And a big thank you to the LA Token team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me online at Kyle Ellicott as well on all social media, just like Keith, Wendy, and Gary, respectfully as well. With that, we'll be back here a little bit more VCTV in just a little bit. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.